Thank you for visiting English Alien. Click subscribe and get notified for new content. Here are some ways to practice. We have reading comprehension. There will be questions about the chapter at the end and in the description box below the video. Answer the questions in the comment section. Listening comprehension. You can close your eyes and listen to me read the story, then answer the questions in the comment section. Pronunciation. You can pause the video, read the words out loud with your voice, then play the video and listen to compare your pronunciation with mine. Chapter 9 Vocabulary. Pause the video, review the definitions. We will go over the words after the chapter. The Force in the Forest by English Alien. Chapter 9. Weeks after the incident at the house, Oscar decided to visit Alejandro's family to explain what had happened. He didn't think they would believe the whole story. Although the news of Alejandro being alive filled them with joy, Alejandro's mother felt confused when Oscar told her that he would not return to the village. "Why won't Alejandro come back to the village? Is he hurt?" asked Alejandro's mother, concerned. No, he's not hurt," replied Oscar. "But after his experience in the forest, he cannot live in the village." The confusion about what happened to the tourist and the perception of the authorities, he needed to live deep in the forest. Oscar knew that this explanation wasn't very good, but the truth was even more unbelievable. Alejandro's mother nodded sadly, understanding the deep connection that Alejandro had developed with the forest. "Alejandro has always spent his free time in the forest. Maybe the forest will choose him." Oscar responded with confusion. "What do you mean by choose him?" "Our family has a unique history with the forest. Speak with Alejandro's grandfather," she replied. "He knows more than I do." Oscar recalled that Alejandro would often talk about the influence of his grandfather, and he decided to visit him and explain what had happened. "Yes, I would like to speak to Alejandro's grandfather. Where does he live?" Oscar asked. "He lives on the outside of town, up the mountain and very close to the forest. He doesn't come into the village very often. He and Alejandro were close. He also loves the forest," she said as she drifted off into some old memories. Oscar arrived at Alejandro's grandfather's house. The old man was surprised and happy to see a visitor. As they sat at the table with coffee, Oscar noticed a beautiful statue on the table. The stone statue was about the size of a pineapple. Its surface was smooth and polished with beautiful details. It was a figure that clearly represented the spirit of the forest. It was adorned with flowers and leaves. The eyes of the figure were made of two small amethyst gemstones, which appeared as if they were living eyes. The statue was a marble, and it seemed to be filled with a power and energy that was impossible to ignore. With astonishment in his voice, Oscar asked about the incredible statue, curious to know more about its origins. The grandfather, full of life and excitement, began to tell the story that had been passed down through his family for generations. a story of an ancient pact made with the mystical spirit of the forest. Your ancestors made a deal with the forest? Oscar asked in surprise, eager to hear more about the fascinating piece of family history. Yes, the grandfather replied, his eyes gleaming with pride and reverence as he continued. Long ago, after the first conquerors arrived from distant lands, our ancestors found themselves drawn to the heart of the forest. They sensed a powerful presence, the spirit of the forest itself, watching over the land. Feeling a deep connection to the natural world, they made a promise to protect the forest from any harm or intrusion by outsiders. In return for this pledge, the spirit of the forest bestowed upon our family a gift, the power of nature itself, the grandfather explained. They were granted the ability to commune with the animals, to harness the natural energy, and to understand the secrets of the plants and the trees. It was a bond that united our family with the forest, and through generations we have upheld our end of the sacred bargain. Oscar listened in awe as the grandfather continued to recount the tale of how the forest became an integral part of their family's identity. He learned about the ancient rituals performed by their ancestors to honor the spirit of the forest and the profound respect they held for the natural world. After hearing the retelling of the legend, Oscar shared the entire story about Alejandro with the grandfather. As a descendant of this legacy, Alejandro's destiny was deeply intertwined with the forest, the grandfather concluded. Your description of his transformation was not a curse, but a manifestation of the ancient bond that connects our family to the very heart of the forest itself. Oscar left the conversation feeling a sense of enlightenment, realizing that the strange events in the forest had a far deeper significance than he had ever imagined. The forest was not just a place, but a sacred realm where the spirit of nature and his friend Alejandro were intertwined, and the legend was alive and pulsing with power. With his newfound understanding, Oscar went back to the village and decided to share the story with Officer Hernandez, as they had experienced the same events in the house that night. As a result, rumors about the forest started spreading in the community. The ancient legend was revived, renewing the awareness and significance of protecting and respecting the forest. Chapter 9 Vocabulary Review. Incident. An event that is either unpleasant or unusual. Weeks after the incident at the house, Oscar decided to visit Alejandro's family to explain what had happened. To nod, to lower and raise one head slightly and briefly, often in greeting or understanding, or to give someone a signal. Alejandro's mother nodded sadly, understanding the deep connection that Alejandro had developed with the forest. To drift, to move slowly or gradually with little or no direction. He also loves the forest, she said as she drifted off into some old memories. Okay, so to drift, you will usually hear in reference to something that is slowly moving with no direction on the surface of water, like a boat or a piece of wood. But here it is referring to her awareness, slowly drifting into some old memories. To adorn, to add something decorative to a person or thing. Okay, a synonym is to decorate. It was adorned with flowers and leaves. Pact, a formal agreement between individuals or parties. Okay, a synonym is deal. Okay. A story of an ancient pact made with the mystical spirit of the forest. Eager, an adjective. Very excited and interested. Feeling a strong and impatient desire to do something or a desire for something. Your ancestors made a deal with the forest? Oscar asked in surprise, eager to hear more about this fascinating piece of family history. To bestow, to give something as an honor or present. In return for this pledge, the spirit of the forest bestowed upon our family a gift, the power of nature itself, the grandfather explained. To uphold, maintain, a custom or a practice. It was a bond that united our family with the forest, and through generations we have upheld our end of the sacred bargain. Integral, necessary to make a whole complete, essential or fundamental. Oscar listened in awe as the grandfather continued to recount the tale of how the forest had become an integral part of their family's identity. Intertwined. Okay, so this is the adjective version of the verb to intertwine. Connect or link two or more things closely. As a descendant of this legacy, Alejandro's destiny was deeply intertwined with the forest, the grandfather concluded. Enlightenment, the state of understanding something. Oscar left the conversation feeling a sense of enlightenment, realizing that the strange events in the forest had a far deeper significance than he had ever imagined. Entwined, wind or twist together. This is very similar to intertwined. The forest was not just a place, but a sacred realm where the spirit of nature and his friend Alejandro were entwined, and the legend was alive and pulsing with power. Chapter 9 Questions. Choose one or more questions to answer in the comments section below. Answer in complete sentences. I will respond with feedback and error correction to the first 50 comments. Number 1. How did Alejandro's mother react when Oscar told her what happened? Number 2. What was the statue on the grandfather's table? Number 3. How did the grandfather's story help Oscar understand what happened? Number 4. How do you think the grandfather felt about what happened to Alejandro? And number 5. Write a question the story created for you. This is to practice writing questions. I look forward to your comments. Thank you for visiting English Alien. Click subscribe and get notified for new content.